Hello, everybody. My name is RODGON. I'm an artist, I'm a designer, I'm an illustrator, I'm a cartoonist, and today I get to have some fun with you guys. Today I am going to show you guys how I work on a program called Procreate. So how's it going today? You got extra rewards from trending. Your viewers can now send you gifts to you and get extra stuff. Okay. Not really sure what that means, but whatever. How are you guys doing today? Today we have a little special little lesson. I normally just hop on here and teach you guys how to draw like manually. But today, since I feel a little inspired, gotta move this one out of the way. No. What did I do? No, go back. Don't duplicate my stuff. Okay. So I have been working on this piece for maybe like the last 2-3 days. And I wanted to do a little bit more work on it, but I'm going to show you guys roughly how I went about it. I'm going to also teach you guys a little bit of little tips and tricks that will help you understand how digital stuff works. So first, we have our sketch, right? Our very first sketch. Our very sketch, this is what we sketched in our sketchbook. We didn't really do much to it. We just took a picture of it with our iPad and we brought it into Procreate. So in Procreate, you can bring an image in by clicking. Here, let me turn off this light because this is throwing it off. All right, there you go. Okay, zoom out. So up here, you have this magical little button right here. When you click Procreate, you're going to end up in a gallery. The gallery is your files. As you can see, they tell you the dimensions of the actual file works, right? This one's in pixels, this one's in inches, some are for print, some are for just composition. So, as you guys can see, I work a lot on this program, and it's something that I have been doing it for a while. I do professional work. This has paid for itself a quadrillion times over. But in this case scenario, we wanted to do our little sketch of our pinup. Okay, so normally when you come into Procreate, you're going to have a blank canvas. You're going to make your canvas by making your new file, and then you're going to go actions, you're going to go add, and you're going to go insert a photo. That's going to give you access to your photo gallery, and then you can choose, I choose this one, it's going to give you that, it's going to bring it in, and then you get to place it by scaling it up and down. You can do whatever you want. Boom, I want it like that. Deselect, it's set in stone. Cool. It brings it in as a layer, so you don't have to worry about anything. You can always duplicate it, make it dimmer, you can make it full size, you can change the contrast, all that stuff. So now that you have your image, I like to dim it to about like 30%. It doesn't have to be 30%. It can be around 30%. Anything that you're going to just be able to see through it. Then you make a layer on top of it. And then you choose whatever sketching tool you choose. I'm kind of leaning towards the Derwent pencil, but it's really flaky with my tip. Sometimes it goes into like really wide tip. But for sketching, see how it does that? But when it doesn't do that, it's a really nice pencil. At this point, I would go in and I would go just lightly trying to get the line work that I want from my design. I would go in, I would try to replicate my sketch line as much as I could without losing that like sketchiness to it, because the sketchiness, the lines that you leave that are a little sketchy, they're the life and soul of your sketch. Like, if you ever wonder why your drawings look like poop after you clean them up and line them up, it's because you're essentially removing the soul from your drawing. You're taking away all the elements that give it flow. All those baby minuscule lines that you draw that you don't think you were seeing, that's stuff that normally makes your eye go like, ooh. It's not things to get rid of. It's not elements that you should remove completely. Like if you're gonna go with a really clean style, then maybe, but don't necessarily remove them completely if it's part of what makes your style look cool. The next thing you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to think about proportions, right? The reason you come into digital work is so that you can clean up your sketch and make sure that it's proportioned and everything. So as you do these type of things, make sure that if you are gonna have different facial expressions, the eyes aren't drastically different. And it could be as simple as just drawing a simple line that goes from one side to the other, see where the peak is. I know where the peak is gonna be, so that's a little high. And then I look at the bottom peak. And as long as I match those, it's gonna look relatively close. Then from there, I try to match the eye size, whatever styling I choose for the eye. And then little by little, you just move up your piece. You choose the elements that look the best, and then you adjust the ones that don't really have that correlation to it. Okay. And then I would just go in and I would just go out of my way to make sure that every little mistake that I made in my normal sketch gets corrected. This eye's a little thin. The eyebrow is gonna match the same eyebrow right here, and then it can change to a different facial expression. But it has to match at some point so that there's symmetry. If I wanted her sipping on a drink, I would need to make her cheek pop up a little bit. Right? And that's with me like adjusting the mouth to be differently. If I wanted the mouth to be a normal mouth, that's not where the straw can go. If my straw needs to fit within the structure of a real mouth, it would have to be in between the middle of my eyeballs before the end of my face. So this would be the general spacing for my mouth. So I would need to move the straw and the drink a little bit more this way so that it actually looks like she's sipping from it. Little tiny baby details like that are the reason that people pay me to do designs. Because little tiny baby details are the reason that things end up looking like this. Right? So you spend enough time doing it, you end up correcting your design and everything. And now you guys get to see how I do it, but with this one. Because now this is the next layer. This is the next step. And now I go into cleaner lines. So after you do that first pass with your sketch again, then you're gonna go in, you're gonna redo the whole process as many times as it takes to be able to get the desired outcome. Okay, so now I would go in, change this to a thinner line, and very carefully, even smaller, clean up my line work and make sure to give it nice thick to thin details so that it actually registers as a nice positive depth. And little by little, that's gonna give me a perfect outline drawing. Now, there's other ways that you guys can go about it. You don't have to go about it this way, right? This way is my way of attaining this level of detail. Some other people like to use other methods, like, other programs, like vector programs and stuff like that, which is totally valid. This is just the way that works for me. And if you're wondering where to put your thick to thin lines, it's exactly where the shadow would hit. So I'm already determining the light source. The light source is going to be overhead. So everything underneath, look at the sphere right here, everything on the bottom is a little darker. Anything that's going to have significant depth is going to have that slight thick to thin. And even though it's almost unnoticeable, that little tiny baby fraction of a line that you're adding is going to give you depth in your drawing. So it's some of those little hidden invisible things that you don't really think about, but at the end of the day is what makes up your drawing and makes it really, really look good. Why do you make scratchy lines? What do you mean scratchy lines? You mean for here? Because it's easier to continue a line going over and over it than having to make one continuous line and make it perfect all the time. I can continue on a line and get the exact detail that I need, or I can try my hardest to replicate a line a million times over by going over it slowly and steadily, and I can just make my drawing take 3 times longer. I mean, that's another option, I guess. But the reason that I do it is for that. It's because it helps me be able, it's kind of like drawing with a ballpoint pen, which I'm very, very comfortable with. I don't know if that extra line works. It does give a little bit of depth, but it doesn't really look good. Makes my Misty look like a cheap whore. And she is not a cheap whore, she's an expensive whore. She's gonna have standards. All right, so we have that, and then little by little, that's the reason why digital drawing and stuff like that takes forever. Because it normally encompasses doing baby amounts of detail and making sure that it's perfect, because you get the undo button, right? And here you get the undo button. So you get to choose perfectly. So there's really no excuse for people that have really bad digital work. Like if you are releasing really bad digital work, it's because your undo button broke, or you just don't really know where your issues are. So that's fine too. It happens. We all go through the same journey. No, it's not Tinkerbell. It's Misty. Do I take commissions for art? I sometimes do. Sometimes. Very rarely, honestly. And the reason why is because I absolutely hate dealing with clients. I just hate it. I hate it. Like people are annoying. People are so incredibly annoying. And, I'm just tired of it. I did it for 20 years. Catering to everybody else's whims, making sure that everybody else's companies made money and they got rich off of my creativity. And that's fine. I didn't mind, But as you grow older, and you learn the value of what you do, well, you're less inclined to want to spend hours and hours and hours trying to make someone else's dream come true. And you're more likely to want to be spending it making your own things come true. So as you get older, you'll get there. You'll feel the same way. It happens to everybody. One day you will realize that you don't want to spend 8 hours a day doing fucking brochures when you can be doing 8 hours of cool illustrations or comics or t-shirts or whatever you want to pursue. When you realize that 8 hours, 9 hours with traffic, with commuting, with all the bullshit meetings and after work pro things to make friends with your colleagues and bullshit like that. When you realize that you're spending countless hours doing something that in all reality you don't really give a shit about. Because you don't. You might say it, but you don't. At the end of the day, if you left that job, would you really care? Would you really, really care? Or would it just be like, oh, I just need to find something else that's stable? You know? A lot of the times, it's a lot about comfort. It's not about pursuing what we want. It's about how comfy am I, and am I comfy here enough that I can be okay with this? Am I gonna be okay giving up my dream with this level of comfort? Or do I need to get a little bit more comfort before I give up my dream? How much comfort does it take for you to give up on what you wanted to pursue your whole life? That's what came to my mind. And that's why I quit. That's why I quit doing it. Because I realized that I was much more worried about the comfort level of my life as opposed to working towards a goal that would make my life just happy. Because I have a feeling that if I accomplish my goals in what I've pursued my whole life, I think I'd be happy. I think that would make me happy. I don't think buying a car that is going to take me to a job I fucking hate is going to make me happy. I'd rather be at home without a car doing the thing I love. Without that expensive BMW. You know, a ballpoint pen and a sketchbook. And I would be so much happier than with a Mercedes going to a corporate job that I hate. Just saying. When you start putting things in perspective, you end up realizing that you've probably prioritized the wrong thing for a longer time than you should have. But everybody learns it the same way. Everybody does. Some people take their like 60, 70, 80. Some people learn it when they're young. But we all learn it the same way. We all get fed up and we all just jump the gun. And eventually we realize that it's not that bad on the other side. It's not as hard as people thought to make a little bit of money. It's not as difficult as people thought to be able to focus on something really good like drawing and get good at it quickly because you have time. You have an extra 8 hours a day. You have an extra 8 hours a day to work on what you love and what you want to get better at every single day now. And if you're not using that time to work because it's not fun time, it's still work. So if you use it to work and grow and improve yourself instead of just fucking around, oh, I'll make my comic tomorrow. Oh, no, it's okay. I'm tired. I don't feel inspired. No, that's the shit that you don't get to do. You don't get to do that. Okay? If you choose that path, if you choose the path to follow your own thing, you don't get to do that. Because that's just you being lazy. If you decide you're gonna jump on the fucking gun and you're gonna do it and you're gonna go for it, you go for it. You don't just lollygag and kind of like sit around like hoping things happen. No, you go for it. You take all those 8 hours you just gained every day and you tackle this with the ferocity of something you have never really tried to do before, right? If you put your all and you really, really, really put your all into something, do you really think that you won't achieve it? And if you don't get to achieve it perfectly, then at least you're going to get closer to it. Right? At least, at the very least, you're going to get closer to getting it done. So why not? Why not spend an extra little bit of time working for you so that you don't have to work for someone else that doesn't really care? Like, ask your bosses, what would you do if I got a great opportunity and I had to leave this job? Would you support it? Or would you feel bad about it? And just see them squirm. Just see them squirm trying to tell you that they would support you. While at the same time, they would probably start thinking of ways to replace you immediately. Like, they would try to find, just from you asking that, they would probably be like, oh, they're going to fly. We should probably start looking for a replacement. You guys would be surprised. The companies that you guys work for would just replace you in a second, right? They'd give you a little 15-minute memorandum maybe if you died, and then you just go back to work. So be very mindful of who you give your time to, okay? If it's not gonna give it, you're not giving it to yourself, you're not giving your time to yourself, you're not giving your energy to yourself, eventually you're going to wish you did. But then you might be too tired. You might think you're too old because now you waited 40 years to push a comic, right? Maybe you have been just kind of brainwashed by corporate America, and now you think that what you do is kiddie or whatever. There's always going to be something trying to put you down, unfortunately. Unfortunately, the whole process of life is all that about I get to be better because you are doing worse. And that's unfortunate, but that is the life that we live in. So if you don't want to be the person that is on the bottom side of that little take and pull, you need to give yourself at least your own energy, your own time back, your own happiness, all that. You have to give it to yourself. You have to find a way that that energy just flows freely through you. Because if you rely on someone else or something else or anything else for it, oof, especially as an artist, oof, that is going to hurt you. So, there you go. I have to think, do I want to give her pupils or do I just want to leave her without pupils? Because without pupils, she looks cute. So without pupils, let's see what she would look like with eyes colored. And I don't know why I chose purple. So without pupils, we can make it look like this, and then we can add like little tones of the darker color. So it could be like really, really very anime-ish, right? Very, very anime-ish. Like a nice little gradient, and maybe we add, I don't know, a touch of white for a highlight. Like over the line. So that could be one way to approach it, right? So we could do that. We got like extra highlights to make it even better. You can add the highlights to the lips and stuff like that right now too. Maybe the nose. Or alternatively, we just give it a pupil. So I think the pupil in that stance doesn't look too bad. All right, so maybe we'll keep the pupil. We'll keep that in the coloring stage. The highlights, yeah, that's fine. Let's put it out there so you can see what it looks like. Cool. Thank you for the feedback. All right, so let's continue on. As you can see, I'm not trying to tackle gigantic lines. I'm just trying to make sure that I actually get my line work right. A lot of the times, like the software itself is not necessarily the easiest to work with. And if you don't have the right pen, if you don't have the right brush, if you don't have the right thing, it's a pain in the ass. So a lot of the times I just get used to drawing with the basic brushes. The very basic ones, the most generic ones. They're hard brush and they're soft brush. And that's it. Like, as long as it has a little bit of a taper, like thick to thin line, I'm good. Getting really fancy into your, oh my god, I need my cartoonist brushes. I need my this brushes. I need my comic book brushes. I can't draw without my comic book brushes. It's the same like sort of feeling that people that say, I can't color without my Copics. I can't do this without this, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, ugh. Like, are you serious? So that means that you think that the tool is the part that's bringing the skill forward. Interesting. Very interesting. Which is not the case, by the way. Very, very rarely is it the case that it's the piece of art or like the art supply that makes the difference. It's more often than not just the inability of that person to really understand how to use the material. So they can't use anything that has any sort of flaws. Like if you can't draw with any ballpoint pen, regardless of it being a brand or not, then you don't know how to use a ballpoint pen because all ballpoint pens work the same. They really do. And I've been drawing with them for years. So I'm like, yep, you can steal one from anywhere you want. Like a bank, you can steal it from anywhere. And it will look and it'll work exactly the same. That shadow might be a little too harsh. Okay. Bring the neck, and then the neck is going to cast a shadow, and the shadow would be a little bit closer. And probably curving a little bit. Cool. Let's see. Here. So let me give you guys a nice simple trip with line work on digital shit, right? You see how squiggly that was? It's because I pushed. I'm pushing my pen, so therefore I have very little control. If you pull, you have much cleaner line work. So if you push, you're gonna have a much less confident line than if you pull. So always pull. And you try to push, it's gonna look squiggly and weird. So whenever you're doing any sort of lines, especially if they're longer, get in the comfy position. Ah, damn it. Double tap undos, I hate it. Well, I don't hate it, I love it, but it happens to do this often. Okay. So we pull. Oh, we pull, damn it. Get out of here. Stupid notification. There you go. You pull and you make the thick to thin. You pull, and you make your thick to thin. Cool. And you just constantly rotate your canvas, like never-ending rotations, so that you can get that angle. Okay. Let's see. Procreate is really fun. If you need to draw a circle, you can just leave a button pressed, and then it gives you the circles. And that's a lot of the beauty of digital programs too. That it saves you a lot of time. A lot of the times, it saves you a lot of time by being able to do things like that. Okay. Okay, let's draw a little. That might be a little too big, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Add a little shadow to push it into the back. Okay. I gotta match the thick to thin from this one and this one so that it looks even. Add a little bit of a shadow in the back of the hair. That's gonna make the polka ball stand out, but I don't wanna push it all the way to the strings because I don't wanna kill this little detail that I have right here. So I'm just gonna make it look like a little piece of hair. There you go. Cool. There's gonna be little tiny parts where the hair is gonna bunch. I wanna at least add 3 lines every time it does that. Every time it does that, at least 3 lines. That's the rule of 3s, okay? It's just a consistency in the composition thing. So anytime you have any sort of detail that comes in the form of like little stripes, little etches, anything like that, try to make it in compositions of 3. Let me see if I can find something that I can do that with. 1, 2, 3. Little tiny things like that, okay? I don't really do much detail like that because it's more like a cross-hatching thing, and I'm not really a huge fan of that, not especially with thicker lines. But if I see anything where that applies, I will make sure to let you guys know. But that rule of three it's just a composition thing. It's not like an absolute rule that you need to follow, but it's more like it just makes things look appealing. It sometimes helps to understand how people actually do their... Remember, we moved the eye down a little bit, so we need to move the eyebrow down too. So the eyebrow starts right here, so the eyebrow needs to start right here. See what I mean? So I need to be able to match my drawing to make it work well. So a lot of the times it's going to be alignment issues. That is going to be the one thing that throws off your drawing more than drawing things like in weird angles and positions. It's going to just be alignment issues. Once you have it aligned, you can erase the lines. Cool. And now we have our eyebrows aligned. Okay. The line for this eyebrow is really thick, so I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. In all reality, I'm going to change the color of it later to be a more of a skin tone rather than a really dark black line. So it's going to blend it even more anyways. But just for right now, I'm just not liking it. And I'm also not liking the fact that this isn't connected. There you go. Cool. So just to make my life easier, I can go back into the earlier sketch and just remove any detail that is not aligned with what I already did. Just so that I can start seeing the actual sketch for what it's going to be instead of the middle ghosted lines behind it. And eventually you're going to leave the sketch lines anyways. More than anything, you're going to use them for, like I told you, like the soul of your sketch. You know, like you need to have a little bit of those lines in there because otherwise it just looks dead. So you can use stuff like that to like just get a preemptive look at how the lighting is going to be. So I can start determining where the light sources are going to be. Very lightly, of course, but cool. All right, let's continue. You're teaching me so much right now. What up, Wes? How's it going, dude? Remember, always pull your lines. Pull your lines. It's going to make your lines a lot more fluid, a lot nicer. And rotate your canvas as needed so that you can get that same pull every time. If you try to push your lines, be very careful as you do that because you're going to get wobbles. So pulling and having a stable surface too is good. Pulling is going to give you a much nicer, smoother surface than if you try to push Pushing just doesn't work. And then sometimes you still get wobbles. So what I do when I get wobbles, I just go over the wobbles until they're smooth and I erase the edges. Ta-da! So you can build up like a ballpoint pen. So the few techniques that I use, right? I can build up like a ballpoint pen, which is my preferred technique, because I just go little by little. It doesn't matter if I push or I pull. I just go little by little like I would do a ballpoint pen. Okay? You can pull completely and get nice clean lines like that as well. But you're going to find yourself undoing a lot. You're going to find yourself undoing quite a bit of times, mostly because it's just an inconsistent way to be able to get your line work. Like, you can do that, but it's not always going to be a consistent thing, and you're going to find yourself undoing, redoing quite a bit of times. So I highly recommend you just approach it like if it was a ballpoint pen and just go little by little, and you're going to get used to drawing the same lines over and over and over. And that's going to increase your consistency too. I'm adding thick to thin lines wherever the shadows would hit. Cool. And again, little by little, or if you feel confident enough, tackle entire lines. But I go little by little most of the time. It keeps it nice and consistent for me. And if I need to erase a little bit, it's just a little erasing. It's not like the entirety of the fucking thing. But in all reality, you're going to be using a combination of all of them. So as you get better, you get more confident, you're just going to start combining all those different techniques. What app is this? It's Procreate. This is Procreate. What brush am I using? I am using the technical pen right now. But again, I don't think you've been hearing what I'm saying. It doesn't really matter what brush you use, as long as it has a slight thick to thin line work. Like if it tapers, you can use it. That's the whole thing with digital tablets, being able to get that thick to thin line work. Like that's normally what people look for whenever you're looking for like a good stylus or whatever. It's more so like what type of line work can you get out of it, like what thick to thin pen pressure. That's more important than pretty much anything else, because that's literally the hardest part about doing that digitally, is getting that nice thick to thin line quality. Without having to do it like a mechanical pencil where you have to like manually add it in. No, it like makes a world of difference having a little bit of thick to thin line quality like naturally to your penmanship due to pressure. That's why Wacom had like a stronghold on the market for such a long time, because they were one of the only people that actually did that right. And when Apple came out with their Apple Pencil, it was like the very first solid competitor to Wacom. Before that, it was like most of the other tablets and stuff like that were garbage. Let's be honest. They were just absolute garbage. The Surface Pros and stuff like that were garbage. The Y Novas, well, they were pretty bad. but people, yes, like them, you know. And now there's a bunch of different ones. There's Huion. Huion's a really good one. Like a company, they actually have really solid products. And there's a bunch of other ones now that are really, really comparable or even about as good as any Wacom tablet or iPad. It's kind of cool to see that the industry kind of stopped catering to the monopoly of Wacom. I love Wacom though, but healthy competition would be good. And also it brought the prices down for all the tablets and stuff. So that was like incredibly useful. Having other people in the market like caused a shift in the pricing structure of how much tablets cost. So it was a very, 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 very good thing that other people started getting in the market. Never see you draw digitally. Very nice. Yeah. I normally don't draw digitally because people don't really care about seeing my digital work. A lot of the times they see the doodles and that's like what they find the most appealing. Anybody can do digital like work. Anybody can sit down and then trace a drawing of somebody else if they wanted to, right? And be able to create but the whole concept of digital work doesn't amaze people anymore. Because everybody thinks it's just like AI or something if you do it really good. So a lot of the shift in the industry is going to come down to people liking a lot more hand-drawn traditional stuff. And digital things are going to take a back burner for a while because of that whole concept of the AI systems. You know, like it's going to be like, oh, well, you're not a real artist. There's going to be a shift and you just wait until you see it. You're going to see a shift that goes, oh, you're not a real artist unless you know how to draw. You're not a real artist unless you blah, blah, blah. You're going to see it. I already see it I see it forthcoming. Like it's not something that you're going to have elitism from people that draw. And it's an interesting concept because, you know, for the most part, art's for everybody, right? Unless you use a computer now. So art's for everybody except for the people that want to use a tool that lets them use it. It's kind of interesting. It's really, really fascinating how people are so willing to throw a new tool under the bus. Not that I'm up for it at all. Not that I'm like a proponent for AI or anything like that. But it is another tool. It is another skill set. It's kind of like when Photoshop came out. Right? Photoshop, Illustrator, all those things came out, and all the typesetters and all the people that did calligraphy and stuff like that, they were like, oh my God, you guys, you're killing our industry. And then graphic designers that were real graphic designers, not like digital graphic designers, the people that actually like go on there and put the typeset and stuff like that, they're like, oh my God, you're killing our industry. And the people that, you know, will always be attacked are the people that, you know, have a job that's a little bit easier when it comes down to design work. Unfortunately, that's the case. In this case, graphic design is taking a huge, huge hit. Huge, like gigantic hit. Like AI systems have essentially crippled the whole market of graphic design. They have essentially eliminated it. Like, you right now, if you're a graphic designer, that sucks for you completely. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible situation you find yourself in. If you have not already jumped on the wagon of trying to learn how AI systems work so you can maximize a little bit towards the end of your career, you're going to have to shift to something else. Okay? You're going to have to shift to something else. Because it's not going to be an industry that people want to pay money for anymore. Because somebody can literally just jump on, create 50 logos for their company, basing it off typography, not even like an actual idea. And they just don't need graphic design anymore. It's an unfortunate side effect of technology. Okay? If you feel like making money right now, find clients that don't know that AI systems can make them like logos, and then use those AI systems to make logos. Make some money before it runs dry, before people understand that that is going to be, oh, I could have done it myself. This is kind of like a black hack right now. Like, it's not necessarily the most ethical, but you can make a lot of money right now because a lot of people are ignorant to what AI systems can do. Okay? So you can either take advantage of it or you can just cry about it because someone else will. And that is unfortunate. Again, it's unfortunate that we have to think like that. But that is the reality of our world. So you need to learn. You need to learn so that you may use those things at your disposal at the best of your capabilities. If you just kind of go like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to learn it, I don't want to do this, like, then you are being ignorant completely by choice at that point. Okay? That is your choice to be ignorant. Okay? Intelligence, knowledge, it's all willing. You need to be willing to accept the knowledge to be able to learn and progress and get better at things. If you are unable or unwilling, that is not anyone else's fault but yours. And that is something that I will go to my grave with. You get to choose if you want to remain ignorant to the things around you or if you want to learn them. And no one's going to force you to if you don't want to do it. No one will. No one's going to sit there and be like, oh, please learn this. Please do it. Please. Oh, it would be so helpful for you. No one's going to do that shit. Like, most of the time, like, we have this weird notion that someone like a parental figure or something is going to tell us to like do shit. No, once you become an adult, you don't have that. You don't get that. You understand? Like, you don't get to be, oh, well, I'm just waiting for something to tell me otherwise. Like, no, you just do it. You just have to do it. You don't get to just sit around. No, that's how you get people that like sit around for like 50 years and they don't do shit, right? They just like, they think about it, they talk about it a lot, but they never do anything. Okay? You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be the person that literally sat there and did nothing for his whole life. Be an art teacher? I am an art teacher. What do you think I'm doing here? I am an art teacher. I'm a real art teacher. No, but in all reality, I've been trying to do this for like 7 years. So, I have been doing this for a while. And I'm pretty sure I've changed more than 9,000 lives. Oh, wait, no, you said 99,000. I don't know if I've changed 99,000, but I'm pretty sure I've changed at least more than a 10 or 10,000, maybe. I don't know. I get nice reviews all the time, so I probably do a lot more than I give myself credit. At least one. Hey, that's all we can hope for, right? All we can hope for is that we at least touch one person with what we do. If it's more than that, that's just a bonus. But I'm okay with being one at a time. Chaos Kitten. Aww. Aww. That's sweet. Thank you. You know, I often don't really realize anything that I do is actually important. So it's really nice to hear it from you guys. Because, like, believe it or not, like, what I do is a very solitary life. It really is. Like, I get to sit here and talk to my phone for a while every day, and this is my interaction with people. And I love it, and it's nice. And that's why I know that if I even if I ever went to prison, I'd be okay. Because then I'd just be able to draw and stream, and then I'd be able to just be like, oh, okay, that's all I do? Cool. You feed me? Cool. So if I ever go to prison, I'll be fine. I'll just teach from prison. It'll be fine. Not that I'm planning on going to prison or anything. I'm a pretty nice dude. Unless my landlords are, like, annoying me. Those are the only times you guys have ever seen me angry. Prison senpai. You know how popular I would be in prison because I would be able to draw not just their tattoos, not those tattoos, but I'd be like, tell me about your family. Let me make a comic about the best time of your life. And then I'll be like, all I need is a little bit of protection here. Can you, like, keep these people off of me? And I'll make all your stories about being out of prison reality. Boom. Instant friends, instant protection from everything. You know how many people wish that they could, like, spend Christmas with their daughter? And I could just be like, I can make that happen for you. In your brain. It would be so good. I'd be so popular. Nope, nope, nope. Inconsistent circle, inconsistent circles. Yes, I could just press down and it'd be the same pressure, but it takes away the joy of drawing a little line of circles. I could just go like this and get the same pen pressure, but I don't like doing that. Takes away from me paying attention to each individual little mark. And she's going to have something here. What should she have here? I think she's going to have a little heart. Okay, this one's going to be a little watermark. Then we move on to Togepi or Mr. Platypus. Which one should we do first? I added a platypus because it's pretty much a real life Pokemon. So I wanted to make my own Pokemon. I don't understand why they've never made a platypus Pokemon. Or should we give her a little teardrop tattoo too? That might be a little too much, but let's see. Okay, let's do the shoulder. There you go. Nice and easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We have our back muscle, creating our armpit. And then from there, we have her breasts. So I gotta make it overlap. Again, I'm gonna go slowly so I get the nice curvature I need without requiring to get the perfect line off the bat, little by little. I already have my sketch and I like my sketch, so I can just follow the lines of my sketch. All right, this breast is considerably bigger with the line work added, so we're gonna bring them in or make this one bigger. Now let's bring them in. I don't really need the breast to be that big. Let's bring them into the inside line. See, that's also the problem when you're sketching and you're doing different width lines. Whenever you go into your cleanup lines, you're gonna end up with a different look because you chose different line widths, right? So, for example, like the volume of her breast is gonna be significantly smaller with the line work being significantly thinner. So I know that doesn't seem like much, right? But now I would have to understand a little bit more about how my back muscles connect, maybe the t-shirt. So if you don't really account for that detail, having those big thick lines is going to mess you up in one way or another, and it's going to make you guess. And the thing is, we don't want to do is we don't want to guess. We're not guessing where things go with the way that I draw. We're not guessing. Everything has an alignment. Everything has a placement. Okay? And if you always think like that, then you're always going to have more accurate and more appealing drawings. Always have a connecting point to something else in your body. Okay, this one's coming out this way. Have found that this one needs to be a little bit bigger coming this way. And then toga P. I don't know if I want toga P sucking on the bra. So I'm going to be bringing the bra down a little bit on both sides so that he can be latching on, not necessarily to her nipple, but he's just like having a snack. Wouldn't you? Yes, this is grown-up Misty. This is Misty at like 30, because she grew up with me. No, she's like Misty at like 37. After she was a gym leader for a while, and then she decided that OnlyFans was gonna be a better option for her. That's essentially what this happened to be. The alternate reality in which Misty went into OnlyFans. Because the Pokemon gym leader thing didn't pay off as well as he thought. And Ash kept stealing her bikes. All right, so if the breast is gonna go in here, that means that her breast is gonna go here. And before we draw a toga P, having some fun there, we just gotta make sure we got the shape right. Boom, it's actually a little bit fuller. All right, full. And then this expands a little bit because it's pushing because of the width of the t-shirt. Cool. All right, cool. now we have that. Now we get to draw a little bit of the cleavage, and now we get to do detail on the bra. So we got to add some seams. So go around the edge, create a seam. Even out the lines. I see that's a little squiggly. Cool. And then on top of that, I can add my little floral stuff. The floral thingies, or the flourish, is going to go around. So one of them is going to go the opposite way. But that's going to maybe interfere with my detail with toga piece. So I might just make it a little bit smaller. Okay. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna thin out the line a little bit. All right, so now we have a little bit of the detail of the bra, a little bit of the detail of the bra. Now we can go into our original sketch and we can remove this. We can see our drawing a little bit cleaner now. All right, and we see that the lines right here are a little sketchy. So going in here, and I didn't see that until I removed the other lines. So if I go progressively and I go little by little, I can take care of all the little trouble spots before they become an issue later on in my illustration. Okay, so it's looking good. Do we add the Full Metal Alchemist tattoo yet? Not yet. Okay, let's remove some of the other lines that we don't need anymore. Oh shit. Someone sent something? No shit. Rise sent 17 roses. Thank you so much, Rise. So yeah, as we progress through the painting, you guys see how it takes a while to build up the detail, right? But the beauty of it is that as we're going through it, we are correcting any little issues that we had during our second pass of our sketch. This started off as this. This whole thing started off as this sketch right here. That eventually turned into that. And then that is turning into our final line work that will have super clean lines that we can use for print and stickers and all that stuff. Okay, so eventually our sketch will be very similar to our final one, but just with super clean lines. Ta-da! So for now, we're just fixing everything. We're making sure that the drawing is not just cool, that it's accurate, that it has clean line work, that it has nice detail, nice flow. And that's the beauty of digital work. Like, the beauty of digital work is that you get to do that. Oh shit. Thank you, Rise. Thank you for 18 roses. Now that's 35 roses. You're awesome. Example right here. The breast, it's curving away from the bra. In this case, it would probably have to curve into the brow. So I need to draw the brow either closer to the edge Yes, and I know that's like maybe a little bit more thinking about boobs than you probably want to do on a drawing, but it's actually a very persistent issue with people. Like they don't draw the breast in the right place, and they just draw like lumps. They just go like boop, boop, right? That's all they do. They just draw big lumps instead of actually understanding that your breast tissue connects to your pectoral muscles and it just kind of drapes depending on what type of breast you have. Little breast, big breast, saggy breast, whatever. Understanding allows you to have creativity. If you don't understand and you don't sit down to try to understand and you don't study and observe, yes, observing body parts makes you understand them better. So yes, observing is perfectly fine in the right context. In the right context, my friends, in the right context. Don't just go off and be a creep to people. Okay, hold on. You might have to adjust Togepi so he has a little bit of a shell. So we're gonna have his little shell come out, go around him, and then we need to give it depth. So we are looking at things from this direction. That means it's depth from this place. So this side. Okay. Then we're gonna have Misty's, no, it's his little hand. His little hand right here. We're gonna tuck it up behind her breast so that it looks, and I'm gonna give it a little overlap just so it looks like he's poking her boob. Like innocent perviness will always be like my happiest medium to draw. Like when a little animal is pulling up a skirt, or like with I don't know, someone innocent, like something innocent, like especially a creature. Like I draw a lot of really cute creatures with really sexy ladies, and it's always something like silly that they're doing, kind of like the whole copper tone thing, where like the character is pulling down the swimsuit, right, and stuff like that. Little things like that. That's like what I aim for when it comes down to my pinups. It's a little bit of humor, a little bit of like woo, and a little bit of surprise. Like if I can get you to feel those three things with my pinups, then I did what I wanted. Okay. Let's adjust these. Okay, that looks nice and even. If I get your brushes, does that come as a file? Can I install? Oh, you don't need my brushes. No. There's no brushes, my dear. No, just use this pencil. This pencil, the technical pencil, use that for sketching or cleaning up line work. Then you go into the sketching and you use the Derwent or the Peppermint or the Procreate pencil to sketch. And then to fill in large spaces, you go into the inking and you use the syrup. That's it. That's all you really need. Like besides from like a soft brush that you can use the soft brush. You don't need a pack. You don't need to buy people's packs. Okay, that is the biggest fucking scam ever. Like people asking I'm sorry for the people that sell these things, but I just think that if you actually are selling brush packs, you're kind of scamming people. Just saying. I'm just saying. Like literally teach people how to make a fucking brush, and then they don't have to worry about that stuff, right? They can make their own brushes and stuff like that. If there's no Vero Vest specifically super awesomely like unique brushes that people make, by the way. A lot of the times, it's most often than not, it's literally just grabbing an image from the internet and making a brush. It's not incredibly hard. You guys can learn that in like 5 minutes. Literally go on YouTube, just go how to make a brush in Procreate, and you guys can learn in 5 minutes better than I can teach you, because I just don't use them. I really don't. I just don't use them. I just use, because I try to replicate what I normally use in real life. So what I want to use is a nice pen that marks in a solid line, like a ballpoint pen. If I can ever get a ballpoint pen like feel in an actual like brush, I would probably just die, because then I would never pick up a sketchbook again. But so it's probably a good thing that I don't. Second, if I'm not getting the result I want, then I adjust the settings to my base brushes so that I don't have to do that every single time. Okay? I just do it to all my brushes, all my programs once, so that I don't have to go ahead and do that again and again and again and again. So saving time is good. Now, using shortcuts. If you're gonna be using something like this, shortcuts are literally the thing that will make you efficient and able to make a living doing this. Yes, to that extent. If you are able to use shortcuts effectively, you essentially cut the workflow not just in half, sometimes in like a tenfold. If you learn how to use actions in Photoshop, ooh boy. If you don't know how to use actions in Photoshop, oh dear God. How are you working? Oh dear God. My dear Lord. Child of Christ. Or whatever you want to call yourself. What have you been up to? Like, if you don't, okay, your homework for any one of you that actually knows how to use Photoshop and has used Photoshop for years, and you do not know what actions are and how you can use them to be able to maximize your output, please, that's your homework. Your homework is going and learning how actions work. Oh my God. Yes, please go do that. Especially if you do a lot of repetitive things, like export the same thing, or you have to click the same set of actions all the time to create some sort of thing, like save as, web, blah, blah, blah. If you have any of those sort of routines, and I know you do because most of us do whenever we're working with Photoshop, actions will cut your time infinitely. Like, you will have so much more time in your day. So much more time. So between using that and learning to use Adobe Bridge, dude, like if you don't know how to use Adobe Bridge to like generate like thousands of JPEGs that you need to like bring out, or you need to apply the same filter to 1,000 images, Adobe Bridge is how you do it. If you guys are ever wondering how you do that, it opens up the files, applies whatever you tell it to, and then it closes them and saves them as your desired output. It's an awesome tool. No one knows about it. I've been keeping that a secret since I was in college. I have replaced entire art departments by just knowing how to use that tool. I'm not kidding. There was this place that I worked for. There was a sublimation place, right? There's a sublimation place, and they didn't know how to use these programs, right? So they were going in, opening up every single file, applying a filter, then waiting for it to save, and then exporting, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, we're just doing our work, it takes this long, it takes like a week, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It would take a week. It takes like 20 minutes, max. And like, no, it doesn't, Rod. I'm like, yeah, it does. And I think his name was Lawrence. I was like, he was the art director. And I was like, dude, no. I'm like, I'm going to whisper this to you, but you could be doing all this stuff in like seconds as opposed to hours or weeks, seconds. And they're like, no, I don't think it works like that, Rod. I don't think you know what you're talking about. You're new here. It's okay. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, here, move on. Just move out of the way, dude. Move out of the way, Lawrence. Jumped on the computer, and I was like, do you guys have Adobe Bridge installed? What is that? I'm like, oh, dear God. So I went onto their creative suite. I downloaded, this is in the interview, by the way. This is during the interview. I'm like, move over. Just let me work. Just let me show you something. And then I had downloaded it. We talked and bullshitted while it was downloading. And then I showed him. I was like, in seconds, you can take these thousands of JPEGs that you guys take every week to like do in like forever. Just click this button. He clicked it. He saw it just go, and then it saved in like seconds. It was like, done. And it applied that same filter that he had been doing to every single image in his entire photographic gallery. And he was like, what the hell? What? And I'm like, that's Adobe Bridge, dude. Like, it allows you to do that and things like that of that nature. And you're like, he was like, oh, shit. And eventually, I ended up replacing that entire art department. It took about a month before they realized that I could do the work of everyone. And then you know what I did? I quit. Because I did not like that they just like took the jobs off other people. So I would just quit. So I would leave them in a shitty position, and I would leave the people that left in a great position to be able to negotiate a higher price to come in. Because I didn't really feel like staying. You know, I've never had the mentality of an employee. Like, I've never wanted to be someone's employee. Never. I've never had that. Like, in my life, I've never wanted to pursue someone else telling me if I can go to the fucking bathroom. No, you know, like, I got over that in, like, elementary school. And, like, I don't feel like being told when I can use the toilet. Like, I honestly, that is one of my biggest peeves. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm a fucking grown-up. Like, what? Like, what do you mean I can't go take a shit? Like, what the fuck you mean by that? Oh, I'm taking too long? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You know, like, that is one of the things that always irked me. I know it seems insignificant and petty, but that is one of the reasons that I don't want to work for corporate America ever again. Why I have pursued every single avenue possible to not have to ever go back to an office. So I don't have to ever go back to having a fucking boss. That is the level of petty that I carry in my career. I have worked for every single type of industry, and I've excelled in everything that I've gone into. I'm just that person. I just like being good at shit and then moving on to the next thing, right? I just don't enjoy being bored doing a good thing. Even if I'm great at it, I just don't like doing it over and over and over. It's just, that's hell to me. That's my living hell. Okay? My living hell is working, getting good at something, and never being able to do something different in my life. That is my living hell. And that's also the reason why I have such a hard time in relationships, because people end up getting really boring to me. But the thing is, I do a lot of boring stuff, right? So it's not like it's like I'm boring as shit. I am, but it's not boring to me. So since it's not boring to me, it's not boring. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a little bit of narcissism in there, which is like perfectly okay with me too, because, I have realized that I have never really put myself before anyone else before. So now it's, yeah, now I get to be a dick. Now I get to be that person that I used to think was being a dick. Apparently that's being healthy. So, I'm going to be fucking healthy. Like, apparently, according to my therapist, how I have always thought being toxic is actually the healthy way of conducting yourself. And I'm like, fuck you, no way. Really? Are you kidding? And then it was like, yeah, that's supposed to be how you're supposed to handle yourself. I'm like, what? What? No way. Like, that seems wrong. And then he's like, no, that's healthy. Just do it. Just try it once. And you know what? I hate it. I hate being a jerk. I hate it. I hate it. I hate putting myself first. I hate it. It makes me sick. It makes me not want to be around people. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't. It's very much against everything in my nature. And if that's the way that you're supposed to be healthy, fuck, nah. Just keep me away from people so I don't have to be like that. Because honestly, I'm tired, man. I'm tired of like having to act a certain way and like not being able to be like the kind person you want because people take advantage of you and shit like that. So I'd rather just not be around people. And that's been like the case so much lately. Like people wonder like, oh, why don't you go out and do things? Oh, you should go to this convention. Oh, you should come visit. I'm like, dude, like I wish that I felt like it was a happy thing to go through those things. But it isn't. It isn't. It's more like, oh shit, I have to actually meet people. Like I have to actually sit down and be happy and jolly and inspirational and shit like that. And I'm like, dude, like that's not me. Like I know that I portray that here because this is my happy time. This is my happy time. This is where I go to be happy. I come to draw to be happy. So I feel confident and I can talk about things and stuff like that. But when it comes down to being in person, it's a very different story. That doesn't mean that I'm like this all the time. And unfortunately, a lot of people think that's the case. A lot of people think that because I'm cheery here, I'm cheery all the time. And when they realize, no, Rod is a pretty fucking flawed human. I'm not the Bob Ross. I'm not that person. I've had a difficult life and it's been tough. So it's more like I end up being not what they expect. And then that becomes an issue. Not for me, but for them. Because then they feel like, oh, well, you're always so happy and cheerful. And I'm like, I'm happy and cheerful because I'm by myself. I'm happy and cheerful because I don't have to tell someone why I'm being happy and cheerful. See what I mean? So a lot of people wonder why I keep myself so secluded. And it's because I don't disappoint me. But I end up disappointing pretty much everybody else that I meet. So I don't like doing it anymore. See, is that a nice level of detail? Or is that too bony? I think it's too bony. I gotta smooth it out. Anything is possible. Is this Procreate? Yeah, I thought so, but I guess, I don't know. Yeah, it is Procreate. You guys want to see the progress so far? Yeah, I'll show you guys the video. So share video, time-lapse replay. Okay. So we brought in the sketch, right? And then we started outlining it. Little by little, we started doing little tiny line work, just correcting the line work. I'll speed it up a little. So you guys can see, we start putting a little bit of the lines. And I was playing around with the placement. I wanted to make it like a little playful one like this, you know? Make it a little nice, like playful one, but I was like, eh. And I started changing like the position, and then I added Togepi, and I was like, oh, that's cute. But then I was like, that's two cute things. So I have to make her a little sexier so that Togepi stands out a little bit more. So I started adding a little extra details. I started adding extra Pokemon. And then I started deciding how I'm going to do the coloring. And then played around with the coloring colors. And then I went into pass number 2. Pass number 2 is to add a little bit more detail, just clean it up a little bit. Make sure that I have the detail where I'm going to want it, and get a little bit of a tone shift. Then I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But then I didn't like the way the eyes looked. The way the eyes started giving me like this warped sense of like warpiness. It didn't really quite look right. So I was like, started like playing around, messing around with them and the line work. I was like, no matter how much I polish it, the eyes look like shit. So I'm going to change the size of the head. I'm gonna bring the arm in because it looked a little bit flawed. And then I was like, okay, that looks a little better in the eyes. A little tiny change, like squishing their eyes down a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw that change, but boom, boom. I was like, that looks a little better, but what would happen if I just close her eyes? And I was like, oh my God, yes, yes. That hit perfectly, and I was like, but that arm is kind of looking a little stiff. Even though it does look kind of cute, I kind of want to add my own little flair. So I was like, okay, I already wanted the arm bent, and I kind of went away from it, so I didn't want to shy away from the bent arm. Whenever I find something that I draw that is like bad or like weird, I don't understand it, I tackle that shit until I get it. I don't just run away. Like, I felt myself running away from it by doing the arm like that. So it was an even more of a reason to not draw it like that. So I was like, okay, cool. If I'm going to have an issue with the forearm, then I'm going to just draw something over the forearm, get the arm placed in the right place, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to learn where the forearm goes. So you guys will see me draw it, go in, and then go in and see how the body part would actually work. See how I'm like working it out? Even though the platypus is there to get the placement composition, I have to figure out how the arm bends. So I start going in with little lines to figuring out how that would bend, matching this side on that side. And then I was talking about eyes and stuff like that and things like that later. And then we come to today's stream. In today's stream, we've been cleaning up our line work so far. So far we have up to here. Cool. And now he is properly doing his job. Oh, Togepi. You are such a little pervert. Who can blame him, though? We erase the line work that we don't need. And see, now the line work for the bands, they need to adjust. So as you fix your artwork, you're going to have to adjust many other places in your art as well. It's not just going to be drawing something and then making the line pretty. It's always going to be constantly adjusting. So now that that is there, I need to make sure that the bra or the strap is going to go up and then back. So it got pushed back a little bit, so this is going to curve a little more to get to the back of my neck. But that doesn't look right. Hold on. When I can't figure that out, I don't like doing it on the same layer. And then I just go in a separate layer, and without any worries, I can figure out how to make it look like it's wrapping around. It's a very subtle curvature at the end to make that look like that. Very subtle. And you gotta tuck it underneath Togepi and show a little bit of the breast. Okay, so we have that. We're gonna match, we wanna match this size or this side. Okay, hold on, let's draw this one first. Because I know they're red, they're supposed to be red. You make it expand a little bit beyond, a little tiny baby bit beyond, and that will give you the depth that you need. A little baby. Look at how little that difference is. Okay? The width of the elastic, as I would call it. Okay, we make this one a little bit wider to match that one. The width of the elastic. Okay, that's gonna give me depth. You might not notice it, but it's there. Like, you don't notice it because it's so minuscule, but it will actually register with your eye as you look at it. So it's kind of like an optical illusion. You're just little tiny baby pieces of like depth will eventually add up to be able to create a more dynamic set of lines. So it's all little baby minuscule cues that help you understand that. Let's move on to Mr. Platypus. So we can still give this guy like a superpower or something. I just added the platypus in there because it's kind of like a real life Pokemon. But what powers would the Pokemon be if he was a platypus? Like, what kind of powers would he have? Poison? Oh, well, I guess, yeah, he would be poison, huh? But would he be a water? Would he be a ground type? Would he be a water type? Well, they do live in the water. But would he be like a mud? Like a combination of them? What app do I use? I'm using Procreate. It's the only one I like on the iPad. No, besides from Adobe Illustrator. Let's see, let's make one of his little paw thingies. Come up, he's gonna be trying to point at it. He has his little feet. Let's see. What is your advice for someone having trouble creating their own characters? Go live life. Go live your life. Go outside into the real world. Go fall in love. Go, I don't know, go get a job you hate. Go travel to a country you absolutely hated. Go live your life. You will find inspiration in your own life if you allow yourself to have an interesting life. If you don't, you're always going to search for that inspiration somewhere else. You're going to constantly always pursue inspiration. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I feel inspired? And you're going to try to search for it from people that are going to give you bullshit answers, right? They're going to be like, oh, you got to try this course. You got to do this. You got to do that. And people fall for that stuff, right? That's the pyramid scheme of the art world. Prey on somebody's inability to be able to accomplish the one goal that they've always wanted to do. That is literally the scam that most art schools do. So be careful, be mindful, but at the same time be cautious. Be sure that you are doing things that you love. And little by little, the confidence will eventually build up. I don't like that. I want them being cute. Doing what you love leads to a happy art life. Doing what you don't love, forcing it, will lead you to being burnt out, to being feeling like unaccomplished, unmotivated, unfulfilled. A lot of uns. Okay, so be mindful, be careful, be very, 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 very careful of where you spend your creative energy. Because that, dude, that's harder to, like, it gets harder to replenish that than to feel better to go to the gym every day. Like, it's harder to replenish that sort of energy. So again, if you're spending it a lot on other people, that's why you might not feel motivated to do your own thing. You know, that's why you might feel a little bit of a strain whenever you're thinking about doing your own comic, your own story. Maybe you spend too much time doing fucking pamphlets for the company. You know, like sometimes it's one does drain the other. It really does. There isn't an infinite well of creativity in people. Because you were thinking about fucked up scammers. What? Demon claws. That's why his demon claws came out. I'm gonna make him a little bit darker on the top. I'll make it dripping with poison. I like that. Like he just killed someone too, though. And he's so happy. Nah, his little feetsies are gonna have her little webby pants too. His little webbies, little furry feet. How do you get out of a really long art block? Well, I like to tell people that art block is not necessarily what you think it is. Art block, maybe in your brain, is, oh, I can't draw, right? Oh, I don't know what to draw. A lot of the times, we misconfuse that with the, how do I phrase this without hurting people's feelings? your inability to draw sometimes comes from your lack of knowledge and your lack of ability to know how to release that creativity onto the world, right? So if you don't know how to, let's say, draw, you're going to find another way to be able to do that, right? You're going to find it through sculpting, you might find it through poetry, you might find it through whatever. But you're normally going to spend time trying to find an outlet in one way or another that allows you to tell your stories, tell your creativity, show the world that you are unique, right? That is the whole goal. Like we're always trying to just constantly try to make the world understand, hey, look at me, I'm unique. I'm unique. Look at me, I'm unique. That's like all we want. All we want is a little bit of acknowledgement. And if we can get that, that is all we really want. Okay? That is really the goal for us as artists, is to get noticed by other people most of the time. But through that search for validation, we end up a lot of the times losing ourselves. And, what's popular for other people is probably going to make me popular. What happened worked for this other person. It has to work for me because it worked for them, right? So you end up in this constant state of comparison where you constantly feel disappointed because, hey, if it happened for them, how come it didn't happen for me? It's not fair. I don't know why it didn't happen for me. I did exactly the same thing the other person did. They told me in a video that if I did this, I would get this result. Why is it not happening? Well, because everybody's life is different. Okay? Any circumstances that led to me having a life that I have right now is very, very, very different than the circumstances that led you to having your life. Right? If you go to any of these conventions like Lightbox or CTN or any of these conventions that pop up, right? And go to any of the panels where someone's explaining how they got their head start. And I've gone to countless of these, by the way. Okay? Because I love going to these convention type of things. Find out how many of them mention luck as their catalyst. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I worked really hard and I did this and I got lucky. Look for that word, lucky. Because that is going to be a very constant thing when people tell you about their careers. I worked really hard and I did everything like this and I got lucky. So it led me to believe, I was like, well, then your whole panel's irrelevant. Your whole panel is irrelevant if you mention luck. If the moment that you put luck in the equation, you might as well just tell me I might as have faith. Just have faith. It'll come to you. You know, that lost me. It loses me every single time. Every single time that someone gives like a motivational speech or something like that, and I'm like, and they mention, oh, I got here because of hard work and luck. And I'm like, well, then you didn't get there through fucking hard work, did you? It's mostly luck. So I'm like, I don't know. It just always leaves a bad taste in my mouth whenever I hear that, you know? Because I don't like, as is, I don't really like the whole explanation behind that. Like, did I just draw this? Okay. I was like, did I draw that stuff in the wrong panel? No, just wrong color. Let's make the platypus come back right here. Break the continuity of her hand. Okay, this is gonna wrap around, so I'm gonna hide this a little bit more. His little body and his little furry parts. His little belly would be around here, but it's going to contrast with that. So maybe I have to move it a little bit out. Either I move the belly a little bit longer. Nah, I don't like doing that. That's fine. Okay, there you go. Cool. Mr. Platypus. And he will be a poison type. Here, we'll give him a little skull for his markings. And that he'll be his Pokemon powers. He'll be poisonous. How do you call platypus? Platypus. We gotta come up with a name for him. Yeah, we'll have a little skull. This is markings. That'll be cute. And then we'll make like little like bone marks down his spine. Then should he have like little bone marks? Probably. It'll be like little spots and stuff like that, but they'll be in the form of little tail marks. I think that's cute. A little bit of his belly. He has to have something on here. There you go, I like that. That looks Pokemon-ish enough. They call these guys, I don't know what they call them, but they're gonna be called something. Or do we even add those? That looks a little weird. No, I think we just do that. Make the face look like a skull because you're poison. And then right here, do you want like tufts of hair? Do you want forward? Do you want like an emo haircut? Or do we just want like a standard? Just make it like little fuzzies. That's fine. Just leave it like that. So we just invented a Pokemon. It's like the Dia de los Muertos. Platypus. Oh, that's how it could be. Hold on. That would be cute too. Hold on, let's see. Dia de los Muertos. No, what else did they put? That looks cute. Oh, that looks really cute. I'm gonna keep it like that. That's super cute. An alebrije. His little rib cage. What have? His little hip bones be around here. Gotta clean that up though. No butt. Yeah, I like that. That's cute. That's super cute. Maybe not the butt though. Ooh, if he wanted to make it like extra Mexican, put a little candle. A little ofrenda. Give him 2. Now he really looks like a Pokemon. A ghost water type. Oh, that'd be cute. And he just has the little wick. I like that. I actually really, really like that. Maybe food on top of his beak. Skelly. Oh, Skelly. I like that. I like Skelly. I'll look at more like detailed Dia de los Muertos things for him. But for now, I think Skelly is awesome. That's super cute. Yeah, I'll look at more detailed, either alebrije or like Dia de los Muertos stuff, and that would be cute. Let's see. But yeah, that was him. We'll have to go back and clean him up a little bit. We can go back. Oh, what time is it, by the way? How long has it been? I just get lost in these things. Oh wow, it's like 10:30, so it's been 2 hours.
I need to drop my belly fat.
probably about time that we call it a day. We've put a little bit of work on this. We've put a little bit of progress. And I think the next step is just making sure that the detail is lined up. We make sure that, for example, like the hands and stuff like that, that they are about the right size, same level of detail. And like other than that for today, I think we are going to call it a day. Thank you so much for keeping me company. Thank you so much for being my friends. Thank you so much for having some time to spend with your good old teacher. He does appreciate it quite a bit. And I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely Friday, right? Today's Friday? Yeah, today is Friday. So you guys have a lovely Friday. You guys kick some butt. If you guys are going to be starting projects, make sure that you guys start them off strong and don't deviate from the things that you guys have wanted to achieve, right? Like, don't compromise just because something's hard. Like, that is something that I will probably try to emphasize a lot more from now on. It's just the fact that if something's difficult, it just means the glory is that much better. The glory will be so much more if you conquer something difficult than if you conquer something easy over and over and over, right? There's no glory in an easy conquest. There really isn't. So if you really, really think about it, whenever something's really difficult to learn, it just makes it that much more difficult for anyone else to ever catch up to you. And if that's the drive that you need, then hey, take it like that, you know? Understand that your life, your choice, your options, and that glove looks horrible. Okay, why does that look bad? Oh, it looks bad because it's widening the width of my wrist. Okay, that's why it looked bad. Okay, so adjusting for that. There you go. That's better. No shadows. Okay. The wrist doesn't do that. My wrist goes out to my knuckle. So my knuckles are right here. That's why it doesn't do that. So my wrist comes up from here, up onto my knuckle. And then my hand either drapes or folds from there. So I have my fingers, I have my knuckle placements, and now I get to decide to put them anywhere. So this shifts the middle of my palm to around here. So this is slightly off now. Okay, so I fixed that. A little bit of a darker line right there gives my glove width. And then from there, I get to draw my fingers. I can draw them tapering. But what would be a natural position for your fingers? If you have them like this. Thumb down, so the thumb would be over here. You wouldn't see the thumb. The fingers kind of just hanging. Making one a little bit longer, maybe. Okay. I'll keep on working at that later until I get it perfect. Okay, so we have our general idea for that. That's kind of cool. Then we have to adjust the straps. The strap goes here, and then it tugs, so it has to go straight up from here. Straight up. because it has to give the appearance of tugging on the bottom part. So by drawing this, the connecting points, and then adding some stress marks on the bottom, I can make it look like there is something pulling up from there. And I can do the same thing over here, find the top. This goes here. So this gets pulled in a little bit closer. And I can have my pants leg or the back of my shorts getting pulled up a little. So this one's pulling up. It's going to be pulling up at an angle. So the angle lifts this. It's going to be the ledge of my shorts. And then it's going to get pulled up right here, which is going to create some negative space. And I just have to distinguish the front and the back of that. Or does it look better at just having the negative space look like it's pulling the pants up? Ooh, I think that looks cute too. Without the excessive. This tangent right here is what's causing an issue. So I'm going to remove that tangent by moving the finger slightly down. Okay, so now I have that. I can even add a little stress line so it looks like it's pulling from that place too. Same thing has to happen over here. This is going to get pulled up. Let's choose a slightly farther one out. This is going to get pulled up, so there's going to be stress lines pulling up. It has to be higher. From there, her shorts are gonna be tapering open a little bit, creating negative space. Can add a little bit of depth right there. And we have the seam for the crotch. Maybe that's too much of a detail. Maybe just a little. Right, having this, let me move this out of the way of the little connecting point right here. We don't want to take away detail from our character. Okay. Just gonna wrap around. This would pull right here. Okay. Cool. It's looking really nice. It's coming out exactly how I wanted. It's looking exactly how I expected it to, which is not necessarily always the case. Doesn't always land like that. Just a little Dragon Ball. A little bit of a shadow for the shirt. Yeah, it's coming out really, really nicely. I really like it. We'll make a little bit of compression right here because her hand is digging into her breast. So we'll make it a softer line too to make it look like it has some volume. There you go. Little tiny baby compression point. That's all you needed to make it a more appealing form instead of making it look like it may be a mistake or something. Let's see, there, and then it goes in. A lot of it is really subtle stuff, which is the reason why it's hard to normally get it. Because if you don't get it right, if you don't draw like the right shadow, if you create too much of a tangent, then it starts looking weird. But if you do it just right, let's see. I don't know. Let's see. What else? What other tattoos could I give her? It's unrealistic. Yes, of course it's unrealistic proportions. It's not supposed to be a realistic drawing. Of course it's unrealistic proportions. I'm not trying to base it on a real character. It's not a real thing. Like the people that come on here are like, oh, that doesn't look like a real woman. I'm like, I'm not trying to draw a real woman. Like, I'm not trying to draw what you, in your head, assume the variety of what every man should ever draw as a woman. Like, you don't get to dictate that. And I get to draw whatever I want. And you get to draw whatever you want, right? You can do whatever hell you want with your skill. You go ahead and draw all the realistic women that you want. But I will draw exactly what I want, and if that entails women that don't have realistic proportions, that is my choice. You telling me or in any way saying that it's unrealistic doesn't affect me. It's not gonna make me change the way that I draw. It's just gonna annoy me that a person comes on here to try to tell me how to draw. That's all you're gonna accomplish. You're just gonna annoy the person that's creating something while you're sitting there just complaining on the computer. therefore taking away that person's joy from doing something that you are not doing yourself. That's where I get those comments, and that's how I see those comments. Like, why do you have to have your insecurities affect the way that I draw my things? Right? Ooh, Ash's hat. Oh, I can just give her a hat. It's like Ash's hat's like this, right? Something like that. Oh, that'd be cute. But it would have to be fit so that the ponytail fits, and it's a ponytail slightly on the side. So if that's the little hole supposed to be right there, that means that the hat would go around her head in this angle. So if that's the angle, I need to curve the hat going up, going around. Right? It would curve around, and then where it contacts my head, which would be around here, that would go up, back, and around. So if I wanted to keep her little pigtails in the same place, the hat would be roughly around here. Now I don't like forward-facing hats, but they look good on girls. So something like that might be a variation that we try. Might have to move the ponytail a little bit to like be more like right here. And we might have to move the hat a little bit down. Or make the hat smaller so that it fits on her head a little bit cuter. Make it even smaller. Let's make it sit on top of her head. But that's not as cute. I kind of like I like this concept. So that might be a variation of it. We might make that. We'll see. It's amazing how much you can draw from imagination without reference. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time. For a very, 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 very long time. So I have an extensive knowledge about much more than just drawing something pretty. The reason that my drawings look a little bit better than some other people's are not necessarily just because my art is cleaner or whatever. It's because I am imbued with every single piece of knowledge that I have, like any composition, storytelling, line work that I have learned. Everything gets implemented into these drawings. It's not like I'm like holding back or anything. Most of the time, even a subtle line can make everything look better. And I know where to put those lines, and I know how to use little tiny baby nuances that help you understand that the drawing is a little bit more dynamic, more organic, more like something's really alive. And that's the reason that people come to me, by the way. People come to me for that. People are fascinated by being able to see that. Again, that's a tangent, so I'm going to break that tangent a little bit by just making one finger longer. Cool. All right. Platypus shadow. Cool. We can probably fill these in. Oh, it's wrong layer. Cool. Let's see. So far, so good. We're gonna have to go back in and clean up the lines for the hands. Make sure that everything looks nice, but it's looking really, really clean up to now. Merge down. The whole point of digital artwork is so that you can use it later on for commercial purposes. Be it marketing, be it like social media, whatever, right? The whole purpose of them is to be able to maximize your ability to put it online or sell it or whatever. So as you guys learn how to do digital work, make sure that you are also sharing this with as many people as you guys can, right? Share your progress, share your journey, share everything. Why? Because you never know who's gonna align with you, who's gonna feel like, oh shit, this person is doing exactly what I'm doing. This person is doing exactly what I went through. Oh, this person like is suffering the same way I suffered. Let me ask them, let me tell them, let me talk to them, let me reach out. That's how you make friends. That's how you make connections. Okay? People have to relate to you in order to want to help you. If they don't want to help you and they don't relate to you, then they're never gonna be people that come back to your page and look at your stuff and make you want to be a better person. I don't know. Oh, tan lines. Totally. We can totally add tan lines. That's cute. The glove can be black. I can always add details later. All right. No, Togepi is so happy just sucking on a titty. All right. Let's see. What else do we want to finish today before we call it a day? We have done most of the detailing of the face. Let's see what it looks like without all the stuff underneath. Okay, it's looking really nice. There are little elements that I need to get rid of. It seems like I used the eraser tool, not at 100% in some places. Cool, cool, cool. We need to clean up some line work over here. We need to clean up some line work on the platypus, but we'll do it after we look at some reference for alebrijes and shit. Let's see, what else? Little tiny nuances. Anything look off? Anything look weird? So far, it's coming out really nice. Really, really nice. And when we start adding color, it's gonna look really cool. When you start adding color, it gets really cool really quickly. Let's see. Like coloring is one of my favorite parts, mostly because it gives you the quickest results really, really quickly. Like if you know what you're doing, it makes coloring is as simple as laying down your foundations. So let's say that we lay those basic colors down. Cool. Dope. And now we use the blend tool. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can get some contouring in our shit. No, this one. This color. No, not that color. Not that color. A lot of it is like applying makeup. And if you have never really applied makeup, you should probably try doing it so that you understand how tones get applied on the face, applied to the body. You'd be surprised how intuitive it is. And then when you feel like when you want to step up your game, I might have to make some courses on how to do this stuff. I normally don't do much digital stuff because a lot of the people don't really care for it. Honestly, like it's just the reason why I don't do a lot of digital stuff. It's because so many people just don't really care for it. They'd rather see a doodle on a sketchbook. Like they'd rather see a doodle on a Post-it than see a full rendered piece like this. At least for me. And it's interesting. It's so funny how that works. If you learn the concept of form shadows and cast shadows, that alone would help you so much with your artwork. And this is just quick coloring. Like this is not me taking the time to do absolutely anything like special. I know it sounds and looks complicated and stuff, but it's not. It's a lot of just blocky parts and just understanding where to put them just as much as you would know how to put like 2 eyes on a face. I know how to add a soft shadow next to a hard shadow and give it depth. Little tiny nuances, remember, little baby things. All compiled together, kind of like a recipe for like a piece of food or something like that. Everything together combines and it makes a beautiful piece of work. Ta-da! And then as you go in and you want to add more detail, you can either blend stuff or you can just duplicate it. You can start playing around a little bit more, start adding other tones, maybe a separation more of the nose so it looks a little bit more floaty. You can start adding tones like pinks and reds and purples. Any sort of like tonality is going to differentiate little tiny nuances of your drawing. So if you add a little tone to the eyes, for example, you can just blend that out. And it's the makeup, right? Now you have makeup on your character. If you want to do that with your lips, erase the parts you don't need. And then you can darken the top part to make it stand out even more. If you want to add other tones, like depth, I don't know. Little tiny nuances in color, like a really light color around the cheeks, if blended out, can give you things like really rosy cheeks. A lot of people use that. They use it on the nose. I use it on the nose particularly myself. You can add as much as detail as you want, really. If you add any sort of like shadows, make sure you put the shadows where shadows would hit. Right, just put it where the shadow would actually touch, and it's going to look a little bit better. If you just start adding random tones, it's gonna look generic and it's gonna look bad. There you go. And little by little, you would just build up your character. Now, every single color that you add is going to be a separate layer. Okay? Every color you add will become its own little layer. Why do you do it like that instead of just coloring everything in once? Well, because it allows you to be able to change the color of it later and edit individual sections, which is going to be useful if you want to actually spend time working on something for more than like 10 minutes. Little by little, you work on your projects. And little by little, you keep on adding to them as you understand more about the things that you like to do. The knowledge compiles, okay? The time spent doing it compiles. You will eventually be much better than you were the day before if you just spend some time working on the things the day after. Okay. How do you pick colors? You go to the color wheel and you pick a color. I know that's not what you meant, but in all reality, like, I'm not much of a color theory person. So a lot of the times I choose the very general tone. I choose a slightly darker one. I grab something like an airbrush, reduce the opacity, make the size really big, add a little bit of color differentiation. It's gonna add like a little gradient, and I go a little lighter. I said a little lighter. I'm gonna add a little bit of tone to the top of the hair, wherever the light would hit. right? And then I'm gonna go into an even darker tone, and wherever the light would not hit, I just add a quick pass of that. Blend it out so it doesn't look too stiff. Maybe you can darken the tips of pieces of your hair, whatever. Add a little bit of differentiation, just don't make it completely the same. And then as you go in and you delete the things you don't need, it magically has a really cool look. Because you're not really worried about each individual detail. You're worried about the whole. And then you go in and you erase the things you don't need. It's actually a relatively simple process. It's just time consuming, and a lot of people don't take the time. Oh, what about little artifacts? What about little things? Like, you don't get the little things if you don't use the automatic selection tools. Don't be lazy. If you're using the lasso tool to erase all your shit, well, don't be surprised when you have to go in every single time and delete little artifacts that get left around your art. Right? Little tiny things at the end of your strips and stuff like that. A lot of the times, they become a pain in the ass when you're using selection tools. So I like to go in and I just like to do it manually. Yeah, it takes forever. It takes a lot longer, but it's accurate. That's why you shouldn't be coloring too much far away from the edge, because then you end up in a situation where you have to erase a lot more than you should. So stay close to the edges. So that you can clean it up easy. Zoom in to your art if you need to. Try to do short strokes too. That way, if you need to undo, it doesn't undo a shit ton of things. Just gonna do it quickly. I hate little spots like this. When that happens, I just do that and I just fill it in again. Normally with a non-airbrush brush. Now we don't have to erase again. All right, there you go. Cool. So as you guys can see, Misty's coming along nicely. then we can add, let me erase some here. Okay. There we go. Non-airbrush. No details. Boom. Okay. Now this is the eyes. The eyes are the coolest part. What color should we make her eyes? Can make them yellow. I know Misty has blue eyes, but how cool would that look? That looks really nice, huh? Brush is too small. There you go. Now we get to see what it looks like with several different colors. Now check it out. If you go to adjustments, hue, saturation, layer, now you get to choose blue eyes, green eyes, red eyes, blue eyes. I think she looks best with either yellow eyes or blue eyes, which I think the blue eyes will be what we go with. Mostly because, there you go. Cool. That same blue, I want it for the pants. Okay, and slightly darker, less saturated for the inside. Okay. We'll stop after this. We'll stop. It's been like 3 hours. I think it's about time that we like take a break from it. Because we're gonna come back and we're gonna see a lot of changes, and then I'm not gonna want to backtrack too much. So we will continue on this probably tomorrow. If not, we will just finish our sketchbook, one of the two. We will have a nice, fun drawing session tomorrow. Thank you so much to all of you for keeping me company. You guys are the best part of my day. I hope that you guys enjoy. Hope you learned a little bit. Actually, I hope you guys learned a lot, because this shit's not easy. Not teaching. The teaching part is fun, but the actual learning is sometimes incredibly difficult. And as we spend more time trying to discover how to maneuver around this shit, right? Let's see, alpha lock. Hold on. I need to try something. There you go. Nice. Okay, that looks pretty cool. I'm gonna change the line work of the eyes. you go. That looks cute. Anyways, you guys have a lovely day. And we will continue with the rest of this lovely pinup some other time. But until then, you guys can see a nice little understanding of how digital illustration works, how it can be used to be able to detail things, color things, and how you take it from sketches to final illustration. And yeah, you guys have a lovely day. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.